Now, I don't normally do this because in my previous videos, I only react to one YouTuber per video. Meaning, if I do that one YouTuber, I skip on and do another YouTuber. However, the very recent video I've done was on Endymion, and it was on Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I did not expect this, but that video blew up, in my opinion, a lot in views. And if you guys still watching this, I appreciate you guys for coming along. And we're gonna go into this video right now because as much as I like Assassin's Creed, I don't like the direction where they're going. So let's get into it.
Assassin's Creed Shadows has become a titular game in the battle of players' wants and needs versus those of industry expectations. The game has been mired in controversy aplenty already. I've been covering this game's entire implosion since the moment it was dawned upon us. The game has rightfully gotten plenty of
Yeah, this video has been covered about like every other gamers who actually want their games really good. It's sad to say this is one of the video games that's gonna be a flop.
anger over the inclusion of Yasuke, but now the entire art book of Shadows has leaked online. And while I wish I could show you guys the photos of everything, I'm pretty sure that if I put that in this video, that Ubisoft will likely try to DMCA me for posting unreleased information. However, I can talk about it, and the internet
Wait, it's not released yet? I thought it was. Okay, even if they made some errors and they're gonna change it, it's still not gonna change the fact the game is poorly made. That's pretty much what it is. I'm pretty sure Doctor Disaster covered the art book. I've seen it before. I wanted to cover Doctor Disaster, but let's continue on with the video.
internet is already up in arms about a lot of this too. Beyond this, Kingdom Come's developers want to exit the culture war, so to speak, and paint themselves as victims, and I'll get to that one in a bit later on too.
I heard about that one as well.
The entire art book leaked. Grum's posted it, and unfortunately, if you go to
Thank you, Grumps. I'm not following you on Twitter X, but I appreciate the efforts that you put in the gaming industry. So
click the link provided now, it goes to nowhere as the entire thing has been scrubbed from the internet. Of course, plenty of people already downloaded most of the images already. Cause who are we kidding? This is the internet. I think Ubisoft is less mad that it got leaked for the artwork, and more so mad that it got leaked because of the information that has been provided from this book instead. Although what's presented in this book could be subject to change, I will speak on what was unearthed right now. Firstly, there was a samurai woman named Ibuki that was revealed. Also confirmed that both Naoe and Yasuke will have different companions based on which character you choose to play. The easiest way to describe this is these companions each have unique abilities and traits and all of that stuff. Compare them to, say, a Fallout 3 or 4 companion, if you will. That's probably the best way to look at them. I covered Yaya already, who was confirmed to be a female sumo wrestler type, which...
What? All right. Not only she's fat, she's flat. How is that even possible? Because when you see fat men, they at least have breasts. This, I can't see anything. And you call her a woman? Really?
does make zero sense because such concepts did not exist during this time period whatsoever. Shadows, by the way, takes place in 1579 in case you didn't know. The game covers a civil war that ends with the finale of the Sengoku period of Japan. Anyway, back to this Ibuki character. I'm looking right at her art right now in this leaked image and everything else, and I wish I could show you guys, but again, Ubisoft will probably get butthurt if I do. However, what was unearthed about Ibuki...
Well, that's their own fault. It's like, if it's leaked and people praise it, then it's not really leaked, is it? I don't understand. It's more so of their own fault. It's not... I don't know how to say this. I really do not know. If it's leaked and being praised, I don't think they won't backdrop a lot of things, a lot of the hate they're getting. That's pretty much what it is.
Ibuki is at her description in the book, which I am also not allowed to say, because if I do, that will also likely be something Ubisoft could DMCA me for. I will instead just tell you kind of the gist of it. Companies being companies, guys, aren't I right? Anyway, Ibuki is a Japanese female samurai. According to what I could find online, female samurais first existed during the time period of 1180 to 1185 during the Genpei War. Although, according to historical records, most female samurai did not actually face real combat, instead staying back in their respective.
That's actually really believable because most of the times it's basically a family role. Males go out and hunt, and they go off roam around in a sense to fight food or go into war in that sense, while women stay behind, look after the house, look after the children. That's their role. So it kind of makes sense how the role of a female samurai, quote unquote, plays in this type of role.
Homes or cities with the children to protect them when their husbands were away fighting the wars in their stead, usually also as samurai too. Basically, female samurai were like really badass moms who could not only cook you a nice dinner, but also slice their enemies down if they tried to harm their families. Real life badasses they were. Although, I'm sure there will be people who will scoff at the idea of a female samurai, but they were in fact real and active during these periods of time. Even technically during Shadow's timeline, most female samurai, or as they were notably called Onabukeishas, I probably mispronounced that, but they were even seen fighting side by side their male samurai counterparts during the Sengoku period, which yes, is when Shadows takes place. So I wanted to state that now, because when this game inevitably comes out, I know there will be some that may want to spread the story that female samurais did not exist, but they did.
Alright, I understand they exist, but how many of them actually exist in ratio compared to men? Because in most cases, there are people who don't want to see this in their game regardless. I understand that. That's fine. But if the gamers don't like it, the gamers don't like it. It's just that simple. It's just this.
Just gonna save you now from spreading misinformation, which will only damage this cause more than anything else in the future. So these Onabugeishas would protect their home, and Ibuki from this book is one of these female samurais, a ronin in fact. She's no longer a samurai. Ronins, by the way, are samurais who lost their honor or failed their lords that instead now wander the land in search of jobs for money. A famous female samurai, by the way, was Lady Otsuya, who was a daughter of the Oda clan and the aunt of Oda Nobunaga, the very same influential man that allegedly bought Yasuke when he was brought by the Jesuits to Japan in the 1500s. The reason why I'm talking about Ibuki is less about her character, so to speak, as there isn't really much to be said.
Okay, my apologies for pausing the video. This just occurred to me. I was watching My Happy Marriage, the anime that is kind of like a chick flicks anime in a sense on Netflix. Even though I don't like Netflix, but I find my ways through it. But regardless what it is, I don't want to spoil it. But let's just say, actually, I don't really know the name really well, but there is a female character who actually does the role of protecting one of the main character. And as a female character, she's kind of like undermined because of her sex. And the people in the lower ups despise her because of her sex, and does some other roles. Rather, while there are others in the higher ups not praise her, but respect her for who she is, regardless of her sex. So, I understand those type of stereotypes are in these prejudice. I do like the story. It's not about a samurai in some way. What I'm saying is that I don't mind a female samurai. It's just that how much you put into the game compared to like the male samurai in some way. That's what I'm curious about. If there's like more female samurais than male samurais, then yeah, it's gonna raise an eyebrow.
Said there. However, what was interestingly pointed out by Madame Savvy on Twitter was that Ibuki is very distinctly referred to in
Thank you, Madam Savvy, for showing us the images. I don't use Twitter X, so I always appreciate what she offer us in the gaming industry.
a non-binary like way of thinking. Never once in Ibuki's small description is the word she or her ever used once, only they or them is used to describe this female Ronin. This may be a unique thing, and surely other characters are explained in the same way, right?
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Actually, no. It turns out as people comb through the book, whenever a character was very distinctively a male, they would be specifically referred to as he or him in their description. The same for female characters not being they or them, but of course instead she or her. This implies, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, unless Ubisoft...
Okay, I don't want to get distracted by this. I had to Google tailless cat. Turns out they do exist. I find these cats are adorable. At the same time, I find this is actually really new to me. So, I never expected tailless cats exist before. Oh, by the way, you could pet a tailless cat, but you can't pet a dog. That's what I've heard. If it's a bug, then you already screwed up, Ubisoft, because the game is gonna be released really soon. Very close with Disney Snow White.
Change this at some point, but I really doubt it happening, that Ibuki was absolutely going to be a non-binary samurai in Shadows always. And Ibuki is a companion exclusive from what I can tell for Naoe.
Oh, it works here. But there was a bug where the devs were testing out the gameplay and it's like, oh, you can't pet the dog while at the stairs. Okay, good.
So, expect this non-binary samurai to be a love interest for Naoe too, since both her and Yasuke can romance whoever the player chooses. It also
Why are we playing
that Naoe's
Sims?
father, Fujibayashi Nagado, is indeed a part of the Assassin's Brotherhood within Shadows, and is the original owner of the hidden blade given to Naoe. But this information is not that surprising, since in the story trailer recently that was released, we can see Nagado giving Naoe the hidden blade, so not really a spoiler. Another character detailed on the same page as Nagado is a female character named Katsuhime, who is described as being clad in Portuguese-like weapons and armor, and having a tenacity for firearms and explosives. This character will also be recruitable by Naoe, and yes, I assume a love interest too. I actually have no problems really with this character specifically. She seems pretty cool actually on the surface, so good on Ubisoft for this.
Yeah, I have to say, it looks interesting. It does look fine. Yeah, she looks like she's wearing heavy wear. That's pretty normal, and it's not gonna... All I can say is there's nothing wrong with this. Like you said, there's probably be a love interest, which that is believable because Naoe has a man face.
This one at least, credit where it's due. There's also a Robin Hood-like character named Genojo, who steals from the rich to give to the poor, and another recruitable character who makes a sort of rigid hidden blade to train as an assassin that you can eventually give formal training to turn them into one. Honestly, out of the characters leaked here, it's obvious that Ibuki is going to raise a bunch of eyebrows because it's yet again Ubisoft implementing non-binary propaganda into their games where it should not exist. But I looked into it anyway, cause why not, right? Here's what Google ended up telling me. While the term non-binary wasn't used in the Sengoku
Okay,
period
I don't have to
or
pause
any
this video.
historical period before the modern era, there is evidence of a third gender concept in Japan during the Edo period, which followed
Third gender in Japan? What? Alright, Google is just messing around at this point. Because it's similar to Gemini, where they auto-generated AI images of whatever Google seems fit. You know, like Samurai, for example. Because we're using this as an example for Japan and stuff. Whatever is going to generate it is going to show, like, a person with a very dark skin. That's not from Japan. This is what the example feels like to me right now. This is what it already is. So it's really misleading to what the definition of this term non-binary used in a term of Sengoku period.
the Sengoku period called Wakashu, referring to young men who were considered neither fully male nor female and could be sexual partners for both men and women, suggesting a societal understanding of gender fluidity beyond the binary. Key points about...
Okay, do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of male actors playing in a theater roles in Shakespeare's play. The only reason I'm thinking about this is because females or women, girls, yeah, I'll just say females, they weren't even allowed to have acting roles in theaters. It's either adult men or boys, or in between. Regardless, it will only be male. And there will be sexual acts within the play. Because that's how it is. I have to point that out. That does not mean the actors are gay. They're just playing the role because of what it seems fit during their culture and traditions. That's all it is. I have to point that out. Oh, if you want to know when the first female actor role is started in the 1600s. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but that's a vague information I remember.
Wakashu meaning translates roughly to beautiful youths. Social role. These young men were considered sexually attractive and could engage with both men and women, often within the context of same-sex relationships with older men. Significance. The existence of Wakashu is often cited.
It's basically just Boku no Pico. It's just Boku no Pico. That's all it is.
As an example of a historical third gender in Japan.
Gay!
Well, third gender's kind of pushing it. That's obviously progressive reimagining of the concept, but these Wakashu are basically, let's just say it how it is. They're just modern day twinks pretty much.
Yeah,
This doesn't
pretty
mean that they're
pretty much what it is.
gender. They're simply young men who got down with either genders.
Similar
Which
concept.
Is, well, not something I want to ever see in person.
Just have a
if I'm
different
being
meaning.
real, but this is not non-binary. This is literally a twink, guys. Come on. Ibuki doesn't fall into this category anyway. She's clearly referred to as they, them. Although people tried to community note Savvy's post and claim that the they in the sentence refers to the Ronins and their habits, not Ibuki. But I don't think
That
so.
doesn't
Let
make
me
sense.
read you what it says.
Okay, that doesn't make sense then. It doesn't. You try to community note something that says the word they, but at the same time, within the context of what is shows in the paragraph, does not make sense.
As it states, free-spirited, rebellious, yet joyful by nature, this recruitable ally is a solitary Ronin who came from a clan of obedient samurai but now follows a unique moral compass. They were well-trained in...
Yeah, look at this. Look. This recruitable ally. And then the next sentence says, they. Make it make sense. Either one, you're actually putting a quote unquote, a non-binary, even though they never exist at all, Or two, you have terrible English grammar in this. And by the way, third sentence, typical clad. It doesn't say clads, clad. So, ally, and then you have typical clad. When you say they, it means multiple. It's not singular. So don't give me this nonsense that a day should be a non-binary. Freaking pisses me off just from hearing this already.
Excel in combat, but always felt constrained by the strict rules and stoicism of the samurai class. Typically clad in a classic kimono and hakama pants, Ibuki harbors a deep reverence for poetry, art, and nature. No, the they does not refer to the Ronin as a group or anything like that, stating they were well trained and excel in combat, but always felt constrained by the strict rules and stoicism of the samurai class. This
I apologize. Yeah, he didn't address the English grammar of this. Either way, it's very disingenuous of what Ubisoft is doing, and I really am against this type of English grammar of this. Do not change the word the meaning of day or dumb, because they're plural, not singular. There's a difference. If you call it, that may be a different story. Why? Probably because the story is probably the story in the book called The Child Called It. So that's what I'm getting from it.
Description would specifically state that Ibuki's entire clan felt that way, but it's worded to imply that Ibuki herself is the—
Look. Man face. Man face. Don't hide this from us. We know that's a guy. But yeah, you have a female body. I think that's a wabuki right there.
the only one who feels that way about the samurai code.
My apologies for pausing this video again, but that's not what a real meaning is, but I'm jokingly.
So again, she's being referred to in a non-binary manner, implying that she is indeed non-binary. Also, hakama pants are described to be a part of Ibuki's look, and hakama pants, as I could see here, are gender-neutral pants in Japan. So both genders wear them. Here's a picture of what these pants look like in the modern day. As you can see, anybody can wear these, which can also be conspicuously chosen by Ubisoft for Ibuki to imply that she is seeing herself as non-female, but instead non-binary, because even her clothing style choice is of a gender-neutral look. I wonder how people will react once the game comes out and it's confirmed that Ubisoft has, once again, modern audience, the society of Japan, like this again to meet their needs. But it doesn't end there. This brings me back to Yaya, the fat female so-called sumo wrestler that totally—
Look. She doesn't even look fat here, but yet she's fat here. But yet, there's breasts here, but no breasts there. Even though we still could see a breast from that side, she's still flat-chested. You can't make this shit up. You cannot. Like I mentioned earlier, if you see a fat man, they will have boobs. They will. She does not have one. And yet, one, Yaya, such a terrible name. Two, it sucks to be a woman even if you're fat and have no breasts.
could exist during this time, except not really at all. Yaya's description reads, Yaya brings formidable strength, both physical and spiritual, to any cause. As a dedicated Sohei, a Buddhist warrior monk, she became a fierce fighter. However, people started pointing out that not only does Yaya's existence as a sumo wrestler make zero sense during the time period the game takes place in, but her now confirmed lifestyle to be that of a Buddhist warrior monk makes even less sense, and proves that Ubisoft has yet again decided to twist traditional Japanese culture to make way for their woke.
You know what's also funny? You will never see a vegan work at a butcher shop. What makes them think there is a Buddhist monk in this? That feels more like a fantasy world, if you ask me. And when I think of Buddhist monk, it's more like the Chinese Buddhist monks that they see today. But I highly doubt that exists over here. Unless I get it wrong, but they're just insert like modern terms of what it is we see now.
Ideals. As stated in this infographic made by Hubba Bandor on Twitter, monastic life, including that of nuns, often involved a simple diet.
My apologies. I didn't mean to say Buddhist monks, they don't exist. Buddhist warrior monk. My apologies. My apologies. But then again, I have no idea what the hell is happening here. I have no idea what the hell is happening here.
Focused on vegetarianism or at least a limited range of foods based on Buddhist precepts. So I decided to look up warrior monk diets because why not during this time period, and here's what I got. A Japanese warrior monk typically associated with Buddhist teachings would primarily follow a vegetarian diet known as Shojin Ryori, which focuses on tofu, seasonal vegetables, seaweed, and other plant-based foods, adhering to the principle of not harming living creatures by avoiding meat and fish. Key element.
I understand that there are people who says fish is not considered meat. There you go. Fish is considered meat. And I know there are certain religions, such as in the Chinese one, they can't eat oysters. I don't know why. There's a story about like some monk was saved by an oyster and then you could consume oysters. I don't know how that works. I have no idea. Don't quote me on this. This is how I thought it was. So I had to let you guys know. Sounds ridiculous.
Of a Japanese warrior monk's diet: tofu, a primary source of protein, blah blah blah, seasonal vegetables, miso soup, seaweed, brown rice, pickled vegetables, and stuff like green tea. And it was specifically stated that they ate no meat or fish due to Buddhist precepts against killing. A Shojin Ryori diet strictly avoids animal products, so if you're a warrior monk, you must not harm animals and must instead, basically, be a vegetarian. Although remember that Yaya is apparently also a sumo wrestler, but also female in sumo.
Okay, I didn't state this. I remember Dr. Disaster mentioned this. Rikishi. I think it's translated to a male strength for sumo wrestlers in some way. Don't quote me on this. That's how I vaguely know. They didn't even do much research in this. They're like, oh, Rikishi, that sounds like a cool word. They don't really know what the true meaning behind the word Rikishi. And what the fuck is this? What the hell is this? She can't Spartan kick. She can't Spartan kick. Get the hell out of here.
Sumos apparently eat tons of meals made with protein as in animals. Because sumos obviously need huge calorie diets to sustain their massive sizes for obvious reasons, but what Ubisoft is claiming here is that Yaya is a warrior monk who is also apparently a sumo and a woman, despite not being able to eat the sort of diet that would allow her body to reach the weight or form she would need to become a sumo wrestler, since she is strictly vegetarian.
Okay, I think Endymion mentioned this, and also Dr. Disaster. I'll just state how I'm gonna state it. There is no such thing as female sumo wrestlers. Yeah, they both stated that. The earliest sense of female sumo wrestling was like in the 1100s or the 1200s. That wasn't really sumo wrestling. That was just the emperor just wanted to have his women playing around. You know, like mud fight, women mud fight or something like that, or wet t-shirt contest. It's for the emperor's amusement. That's all it is. I don't see it as a jokester, but it's more like a sexual pleasure. At least that's how I see it. At least that's how I see it. So yeah, there are no such thing as female sumo wrestlers from back then. and they're actually prohibited from getting into the sumo ring. And Japanese culture are very strict on their traditions. And I want to say and to this. My apologies on that. But I would say there was a problem that there was a female paramedic who was trying to help a male person on the ring to get him off because he was having problems. Even though there were audience who were booing at her. I have no idea what just happened. They were booing at her, and then after the female paramedic got off the ring, everybody was throwing salt at the ring. That's how strong of a tradition they have.
I also decided to look up how many calories a sumo wrestler would need to maintain their size to compete. The answer that I could find is that sumo wrestlers require roughly 20,000 calories per day to keep themselves in the desired form to compete. To put that into perspective for you, the average adult man today needs an average of around 2,000 to 2,600 calories per day to sustain themselves. Meaning these sumo wrestlers in such cases are eating as much as 10 times the amount of calories as a normal man does to keep their form. Now remember that Yaya apparently has to eat this, but in vegetables. It's simply unsustainable and likely borderline.
Okay, I don't want to debate him on this, but you could say rice does put in more fat onto a human body. It's believable, but at the same time, he will mention. I'm pretty sure it will gonna be mentioned that there is famine during that time period as well. So I understand meat contains protein, but rice contains a lot of carbs, which means a lot of carbs. There's a lot of fat. So be it as it may, but he's gonna say what's true as well.
Impossible to do. Ubisoft basically threw all the logic out the window and said we need a female sumo wrestler somehow, so we're gonna have her, I guess, anyway. Then Dr. Alaric Naude, who keeps appearing in my videos due to his wealth of knowledge around these sorts of things, chimed in on this supposed fat sumo female vegetarian with "It can't get any."
Thank you. This is the actual Japanese historian we needed. Not Thomas Lockley, Dr. Alaric Naude.
Right, even English is wrong. Buddhist monks are called monks and nuns are called nuns. Moreover, this person doesn't look Buddhist at all. Instead, they look like a Chinese model from Confucianism. I said that totally wrong, my bad.
It's okay. It's called Confucianism. Yeah, it sounds so bad, even from how I say it. But it's regardless how it sounds, you get the gist. Confucianism. That's a lot of is's. That's why.
Ubisoft seems to view all Asians as the same. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't know what Confucianism is. I probably said that. How do you say Confucianism?
Confucianism.
I don't know. Anyway,
that's all it is.
Google, it is
I don't blame him.
Values and behavior.
Like I said, I can't blame him on this. English is not that easy. It's not. It's like Asian, so Confucianism. So it sounds weird. Just remember this. There's a word called fish. I could spell it for you, but that's kind of like spoilers, but I don't want to say it. Just remember there is a word called fish, and there's another word called fish. That's all you need to know.
That originated in ancient China is based on the teachings of Confucius, a Chinese philosopher. So they based Yaya's look at
Confucius. Just to correct you, Confucius. I could be wrong. If you correct me, fine. But that's the closest you can get.
And beliefs instead on ancient Chinese values over those of Japan. Does Ubisoft know where they're setting shadows in exactly? Because it sure as hell ain't China.
Correction. West Taiwan. West Taiwan. This is Taiwan. This is Hong Kong. This is Macau. This is West Taiwan. West Taiwan.
Last time I checked. Another user would reply to all of this with, "Oh god, that's even worse than a sumo wrestler. At least sumo wrestlers have reasons why they're so fat, that being high calorie diets given to them. While a monk? We are in an era where food shortages are constant because of the war. A monk is a peasant compared to a sumo. How?" Nowadays would reply, "Robbing peasants most likely." I mean, nowadays, right, that's really the only way Yaya could theoretically find the sufficient amount of calories to be fat enough during the Sengoku period, which again, she would be.
That's messed up. That's messed up. And they call her privilege? No, my apologies. And they call the other person privilege? Just remember, a fat person is actually more privileged back then because they are able to survive longer than the person who has no fat or no meat in their body. Get the hell out of here, Ubisoft.
Be a vegetarian only, since Ubisoft confirmed that she's a warrior monk somehow, even though she's a woman, so she would be a nun instead. So Yaya not only doesn't make any sense at all, but she's also describing herself in a male-oriented sense. I then decided to look into those famines described, and yeah, there were quite a few of them. None of the famines, however, that I could find technically overlap specifically with the time period that Shadows takes place in. However, during the Sengoku period, it was considered a time where Japan's overall population decreased almost by 1 million people. 920,000 people to be exact died from famine alone during 1780 to 1786. But this particular famine happened 200 years after the events of Shadows. Regardless, the concept that Ubisoft came to here is ridiculous. A female warrior monk, not a nun, who's also a sumo wrestler, or at least has her attacks and abilities referred to by sumo-esque terms, is somehow able to consume 10 times the amount of calories as the average man in a time where food shortages were aplenty. But this is Ubisoft we're talking about, so this shouldn't be too surprising, I suppose. We also have art here showcasing original work for Naoe before her final design. Notice how she's far more feminine, has longer hair, and
this is by far a huge improvement. Look at that. But at the same time, she does look Chinese. She does look Chinese. Let's be honest here. They don't want to appear racist, but they are the Ubisoft is actually one of the most racist type of company of all. Let me add to this. The nose a little bit too big. Even though it's an improvement, it's still a little bit too big. What the fuck is the eyebrows? See, look at the eyebrows. Look at the nose. So straight. So straight. Look at the eyes. Look at the hair. Look at the hair. You see, guys have this type of hair also. What the hell?
looks less boyish than her finalized design. I wouldn't be surprised if Ubisoft made Naoe look less feminine on purpose to blur the line, so to speak, when it comes to her gender identity and all of that. Then we get to the one character that makes me go, oh boy, Ubisoft might be getting themselves into hot water here. Let me explain. So we have this character named Junjiro. He's a happy-looking, chubby young...
Oh my god, I heard about this from Dr. Disaster. Oh my god. Alright. Let him continue first.
His description reads, Junjiro is an 8-year-old bundle of relentless positivity who lives in a crumbling old temple with his guardian, the aged monk Soren. After he finds Naoe near death, they nurse her back to health, and Junjiro becomes the mascot of Naoe and Yasuke's League of Allies. What people started to point out, specifically Savvy, again, is that one of the major consultants for Shadows is a Japanese woman named Sachi Schmidt-Hori. She's the lady on the left. For what people Junjiro become...
He skipped out on this one. Despite losing his father, a member of the notorious Shinbakufu, to Naoe's sword, the boy finds a well of forgiveness and eventually sees her as a sister. That's messed up. That's not how you're supposed to see. That's not how you see it. our main protagonist sees a little child, and the child sees his father get killed by her blade. His reaction is thank you? What? His optimism has emphasized help Naoi turn her own hunger for vengeance into a more benevolent desire for justice. What? No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Even in anime, I see like the siblings not get killed. I see siblings in the anime where they witness their parents get killed, and you think that they'll forgive you? Hell no! What kind of paragraph is this? That's fucked up.
Becomes the mascot of Naoi and Yasuke's
My
League of
apologies for
Allies.
pausing back, but he
What
didn't
people
address
started to
this
point out
issue.
specifically Savvy again is that one of the major consultants for Shadows is a Japanese woman named Sachi Schmidt-Hori. She's the lady on the left in this photo here with the associate narrative designer Brooke Davies.
Oh right, they addressed about her. She's not really Japanese historian. She's not really a consultant. She's just the type of person who likes yaoi. That's all she is.
Sachi is the author of a book that specializes in, and no, I'm not kidding, and it's called Tales of Idolized Boys, Male Love in Medieval Japanese Buddhist Narrative. Let me read you the description of this book and
I'll pause on that one. So basically, she likes yaoi, but in a sense, in the Vatican City, the Pope loved little boys. That's how she describes it, but in Asian culture. More appropriately, the Japanese culture. Let that sink in.
yes, this is real. In medieval Japan, 14th, 16th centuries, it was customary for elite families to entrust their young sons to the care of renowned Buddhist priests from whom they received a premier education in Buddhist scriptures, poetry, music, and dance. When the boys reached adolescence, some underwent coming-of-age rites, others entered the priesthood, and several extended their education becoming Chigo or Buddhist acolytes. Chigos served their masters as personal attendants and as sexual partners. During religious ceremonies adorned in colorful robes, their faces made up and hairstyled in long ponytails, they entertained local donors and pilgrims with music and dance. Stories of acolytes from the 14th to 16th centuries form the basis of the present volume. An original and detailed literary analysis of 6 tales coupled with a thorough examination of the socio-political, religious, and cultural matrices that produce these texts. Yeah, you heard that right. These young boys would be entrusted to old man priests to be trained to become priests themselves and would usually be used as sexual partners with these old men. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here, guys? Let's read that first part of Junjiro's description again.
So basically, a Buddhist is not just a pedophile, but also gay. My apologies for saying that. But this Buddhist is a PDF. Not only a PDF, but he's also gay.
Junjiro is an 8-year-old bundle of relentless positivity who lives in a crumbling old temple with his guardian, the aged monk Soren. Do I need to spell it out for you more, or do you see what I'm insinuating here? This Junjiro being a main character in this game, and Sachi Schmidt-Hori, who's an expert and old man on young boy relations in Japan, yeah. Now that we're all uncomfortable and just came collectively to a realization that makes us all feel worse than before we all knew this, let's keep moving on. The next time you think of Junjiro, by the way, or see him in game, the likelihood that he's, with his... Anyway, let's just keep moving on. Good God, dude, this is bad. I also joked that Ubisoft would find a way to make white men the evil bad guys of this Japanese game, and it looks like I'm right. We also have a character in the book called Nuno Caro, who's described as a Portuguese...
Oh, Nuno. What the hell? Okay. I wanted to pause this video, because I think the Portuguese are also quote-unquote white in a sense. Will Yasuke fight them as well? Because you can't... I can't even understand what's going on. You could attack Japanese NPCs. But when you attack a Portugal merchant, it doesn't land a hit, and it hits anything right behind him. What the hell?
Templar who spent 20 years establishing the Templar connection throughout Japan. He's also described to be involved in an incident on a slave ship that has made him the target of Yasuke specifically. So I assume Yasuke's main villain could very well be this Portuguese Templar man who again isn't Japanese, but the evil white man. Who could have seen that coming, except everybody. There's also another white character named Duarte de Mello. He is a slave trader and is also a white man that is explicitly stated in the book that he will face the wrath of Yasuke and Naoe too. Are you noticing how every white character we know so far in Shadows is irredeemable and awful? It's just like...
Just remember, there's a Portuguese merchant. You couldn't even attack him, but rather it goes right through the Portuguese NPC and it hits the background of him. Take that to consideration.
Dragon Age Veilguard all over again. White people are the devil, everyone else is a good guy, and the white man...
Oh god. I have to pause this also. Look at that. Look at that. Yellow paint.
And must be cut down and destroyed.
Look at that yellow paint over there. Look, see? More yellow paint. More yellow paint. What the hell?
I'd be surprised if the Portuguese guys are the ones behind everything and the Japanese are actually
Look,
just
why is there yellow paint here?
Naoe, a
Why is there freaking yellow paint?
Totally real black samurai buddy to...
This is not God of War. This is not God of War. Why is there yellow paint? Like, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It has yellow paint. Who painted there? Who painted there? If it's a game devs, then that makes more sense. But if you're doing it in the actual game setting, not the game setting, my apologies. If you do it in an actual setting, who the hell painted there and guide them there? That doesn't make sense. What the hell? That's just lazy.
To kill all the white men and save Japan. Because everything white people touches is evil, of course. It's so lame to see, dude, but it's not surprising, sadly either. But it gets worse. The book also reveals that when Oda Nobunaga performed seppuku at the demand of Akechi Mitsuhide, his treacherous general, that in real history, it was Oda's son that seconded him when he...
Oh, hold on. Hi there. I'm the editor. I'm hopping into this.
Oh, editor. I guess he's gonna correct him on what it is, but regardless, I think this is appreciated for what the editor is doing for his employer. Well, doing what his boss is doing. So I appreciate what he's doing. Thank you, editor. You're like the Asmongold editor.
Conversation because of a little oopsie that was about to happen. Because of yours truly. Completely innocent mistake. It happens to everyone. But we can learn from our mistakes and correct them. Well, unless you're Ubisoft, that is. As you know, Endymion is about to tell you how Ubisoft claims that Yasuke was Oda Nobunaga's second during his seppuku, which is obviously false. But we might have also jumped the gun with saying that Oda's son was his actual second, which in reality is also not true. In fact, it was actually Mori Ranmaru. Here's the updated tweet, which came after Endymion recorded this. However, do not fear, with the magic of editing, this is now fixed. I want to thank the Japanese community for correcting our mistake and for informing us, as lovely as they always are, with huge amount of info. Anyway, I'm gonna go away now in the background and let Endymion keep talking.
Basically, when you perform seppuku, you sit down obviously and you stab yourself in the guts so that you die. But then what happens after is another person will stand above the person performing the seppuku to second them, or cut them down pretty much, so that the seppuku is performed but it's not considered a suicide since they actually die from the second blade hitting them instead. Anyway, in real history,
Mori Ranmaru
is the one who seconded him, but Shadows apparently is changing this real historical fact to make it so that Yasuke is the one who seconds Oda instead.
Mori Ranmaru,
Effectively making Yasuke seem more important to Oda, as he chose Yasuke instead to cut him down. This is actually really bad and completely alters history in this game for no other reason than Ubisoft is full of idiots pretty much. This would be like Jesus getting nailed to a cross, but then he actually dies because Yasuke appears out of nowhere and cuts him in half instead, and then they call that history now. It's just stupid. All of this is so stupid. We got non-binary samurais, fat women eating 20,000 calories in famines. We got young boys with old guys. We got white evil dudes in a game full of Japanese people and a token black guy. And now they're changing real history to make their black samurai seem more important than he really is. Bro, when this game comes out, I actually can't wait to decipher everything in it and see how badly Ubisoft did here. It's going to be glorious. But what do you think about all of this? Good changes or bad? Well,
Well, it's obviously bad. A lot of these things are bad. And they're already out in the deadline. They wasted $20 million just to delay the video game because a lot of edits to implement that Yasuke is not the main character, even though he wasn't even supposed to be a main character, and yet is switched to Naoi, which makes more sense. But obviously, she doesn't even look like the character that we wanted. She can't even be in a Rule 34. That's sad. That's pretty sad.
I know your answer anyway, but I'll ask it regardless. Let's now move on to Kingdom Come here to finish this video out. The game is officially out once this video goes live, and the developers really want everyone to know they do not want to be associated with Gamergate at all from PC Gamer. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's developer is fed up of being dragged to the culture war. It seems like someone is always trying to brand us somehow, and we are just trying to make a cool video game. I made a whole video prior to this one to how Warhorse unnecessarily got themselves involved with the ongoing culture war, not at the behest of said culture war, but because their creative director could not keep his mouth shut. Now trying to paint yourselves as victims is just stupid and pathetic in my eyes. Back in 2017, before the launch of the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, the game caught some flack from critics who questioned its lack of people of color and that if it was truly historically accurate. This prompted some genuine, interesting discussions about medieval Europe and its portrayal, but it also saw battle lines being drawn. Some wrote the game off as anti-historical, overly homogenous view of Chechnya, while others rushed into its defense and celebrated it for pushing back against the woke agenda. And this was all before most people had even played it. Game director Daniel Vavra's support for Gamergate only served to fuel the flames. The game didn't catch some flack, it got all the flack. All these websites dogpiled the game and had all manner of problems with it because it was predominantly white. Now they're trying to act like they weren't a part of the problem. Journalists always do this bad, and it's pathetic to see every single time it happens. They will say one thing, lose, then suddenly they were never that thing they were before and will call you convenient buzzwords in order to cover their asses. Again, it wasn't the players that pulled this into the culture war, it was Daniel Vavra who couldn't stop spitting his opinions out when nobody really wanted to hear it. And it led to a
Yeah, this is what the thing is supposed to be. It's like, I understand you have your opinions. That's fine. However, there are opinions that you need to keep to yourself rather than to spread to gamers. What the game devs or the game studio wants to hear, wants to say, it needs to relate to what they're making in the game itself. They don't want to hear any of these modern day some ideals in some sense. They just want to see how the game is. Rockstar, that's a different story, but at the same time, look within their game studio and they don't look like how they are from back then. So that's a net negative on that part. So give it what it takes.
A lot of ire that I have said many times already in other videos never needed to happen to begin with. Vavra can't play the victim after spewing the things that he did. He just can't. This is like that meme of that girl throwing crap over the wall, and then the crap flings black onto her, and then she calls the misogynist or whatever. You can't be serious. Tirelessly, I'll keep saying this, but I do not want people to boycott the game. I do not want to attack the devs, but for a studio that...
The best case scenario in this, I've mentioned this before. Dr. Disaster mentioned this as well. Best case scenario, always let the YouTubers or streamers play the game first. Then you could have your input into the game. Then you can buy the game itself. Don't pre-order the game. Just let someone else play the game first and then see if you could play the game for yourself as well. That way you're saving yourself money and the YouTubers, the gamers, streamers, they're saving you the time of how the game is. That's all. That's how it is. I know there will be spoilers because you're not playing the game, it's someone else doing it. However, this is one of the best takes that you can get out of it. That's it.
Could have had it so easy. They have unnecessarily made their own lives a living hell by having no consistent communication between neither the fans or themselves as developers. Everyone is saying different things. Zwilling, another dev, confirmed the game was a Christian game years ago via YouTube comment. But now the director doesn't think so. Make it make sense. It's a mess no matter how you slice it. There's also this part at the end which reads, "The result is a game that feels so much richer, telling stories shaped by different perspectives. That it's upsetting the bigots is merely a bonus, but for Warhorse, which is now being accused of being part of some global DEI diversity, equity, and inclusion conspiracy, it's understandably exhausting. In an ideal world, says Stoll's Willing, we would like not to be connected to these fights at all." Again, you can't try to get sympathy or pull the victimhood card when your director is openly attacking fans almost every day on Twitter. Just stop it, Warhorse. The best thing you can do right now is just to stop talking and let the game speak for itself, because
Does this feel like Helldivers 2? Community manager, they say some nonsense, they ban players on Discord or whatnot, and gamers freaking hate these community managers, and they asking the game devs, the owner of the game, they would want them fired in some way. I understand that. That's fine. It's just that there's one opinion that this should not be spoken at the end. There's the other opinion that like could quote unquote could be spoken, but is within the game itself. What they want to implement in the game to improve upon it. That's all it is. It's kind of like that. Not saying that they're wrong, it's just that they don't like what they want to hear. And it's getting really out of hand at this point.
it's so obvious that Warhorse as a studio and its developers are clearly not media trained. And look, I don't hold that against them, alright? Not everyone is good at speaking out loud in online discussions like this.
Yes.
I don't expect all developers to have the talent of some talk show host when speaking, but maybe if you're just a bunch of devs who want to make a game, just leave your PR to whoever is in charge of doing that. Don't let your devs or your creative director keep digging these unnecessary holes like this. Daniel may not like me or whatever, even though I've never attacked his game, but I will criticize his behavior because it has been
Sometimes the creator kind of has to step in certain cases, but this is a really bad take on him. And can you blame him? Blame him? Only a certain amount of people. In my case scenario, I don't think I'll play Kingdom Come Deliverance. I won't play it. I never played the first one, so I can't say input, but let gamers decide how they want to play. I never played Marvel Rivals. I don't plan to. Even though, because I'm not really a Marvel fan, I'm not a DC either. I just like to play however I want to play, or whatever I want to play. That's all it is. If you enjoy it, that's good on you. More power to you. And I'm glad that you're enjoying the game that funds your enjoyment.
obviously very poor this past month and a bit. Daniel and whoever else at Warhorse, I don't hate you, but stop being idiots and opening your mouths, guys. Seriously, just shut up and enjoy your success. For your own sakes, more than anything else, I'm sure something stupid will be said or unearthed in the coming days. It's video games, it's bound to happen. But Kingdom Come 2 doesn't need these roadblocks that never should have existed had Warhorse just stayed quiet. Let the gameplay and trailers speak, and that's all.
Yeah, this is like a similar scenario as well. I remember watching Asmongold. One of the Mario Luigi. I forgot. I'm just calling whoever his name is. Let's call him Luigi. Luigi is the guy who unalived the CEO of United Healthcare Insurance Company in some way. Everything that he said makes sense. The problem was he implemented the action of unaliving the CEO, which is a bad thing. So yeah, for that action, yeah, you're in the wrong. But what you said is like, maybe it raised some eyebrows on like the insurance company of what they are doing wrong in that some cases. So yeah, I kind of understand that. It makes certain sense to that point. But when you implement action to it, no. That's already in the fault of the action of someone that's doing it.
If any dev is watching this, the best course of action is to just not say anything at all. Just release your game and that's it. Don't fight with your fans or attack them. It's just stupid and childish, and you really shouldn't be doing that. Also, don't add young boy romance people to your games like Shadows has here. Because my god, dude, what the hell? But that's what I got for you today. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you for watching, subscribe. Thanks to my supporters. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, guys, if you made it all the way to this video, I'm actually really grateful. And if you did make it all the way through, I'm repeating myself. Leave a like to this video if you actually enjoyed it, and subscribe for more content like this. I'll be reacting to other videos as well, like Dr. Disaster, IL. Maybe I'll go back to Asmongold as well. That one also blew up as well, but I didn't want to repeat the same thing over and over again because it feels like that's just being lazy. But at the same time, I like to see more inputs to other people's ideals, and I could implement my own response to it. So you guys could really help me out. Yeah, like I mentioned, like this video and subscribe for more content like this. And comment down below what you like or dislike, or what's the best response that I could have done better. And dislike this video if you don't like it. Is your opinion. I'm more open to whatever you guys want to talk about. So, if any case, if you guys want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, more power to you. If you guys want to play Assassin's Creed Shadows, go for it. I will not. You spend your money however you want to. So until then, play games at your own expense and enjoy it to your own comfort. If any case, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.